Hey guys, FURAI here, and today I'm going to be testing the Huracan Super Trofeo Evo in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. It is the first D-Class car to reach a rank of 3000, and today we're going to see if it lives up to that. Well, we might better see that whenever it comes available in the D-Class events, because in this season it's going up against all of its own car, which isn't really good for testing how it does against other cars. However, it is a really good way to test just how good the car is in general, and it's okay. It's not the greatest thing to drive. I will say it does drive better than the Mazda FURAI and the Corvette C7R, both of which are cars that this car actually slightly beats on many tracks. So I wouldn't be surprised if this car does become the new D-Class king on a lot of the shorter tracks that might not be super twisty, because for example on the Caribbean and Nevada, the Elise and BMW i8 are still going to be some of the best ones. I had a lot of really close races in this season. This one in particular was a good one because I was actually able to pass the guy who was ahead of me because I took the left route and went up the barrel instead of going the right route and taking the nitro bottles, which is a little bit safer, I guess, but if you can learn how to keep enough nitro to go the left route and take the barrel, that can be faster in pretty much every car, except for the really fast ones or ones with poor nitro. So when compared to the Mazda FURAI, which is the car that most people are probably going to be comparing this one with, it has better nitro, better handling, and better acceleration by at least a couple points each. Now the Huracan is about 1 mile per hour slower, but given that it has better all-around other stats, I think it's pretty safe to say that this car is indeed better than the Mazda FURAI. If you guys are interested in a video comparing the two, Red Racer X, who is actually Supersonic Comeback, has made a video about that on his channel. This probably would have been a car that I would have tried to get at a higher star count myself, except that I already spent quite a lot of tokens on those packs that came along with the Devo special event, as well as spending, well, not too much honestly, on some Sheeran packs recently, being able to 5-star that car. Definitely want to make a video about that sometime. The Sheeran is still one of my favorite cars in the game to drive, except for its darn wall riding issues where it wrecks like half the time or more when you try to do that. If you guys watched my stream this past weekend, which you can still check out in the stream archive by the way, you'll see that happened multiple times. The second race on New York wasn't quite as close as I was able to pull steadily ahead of the other cars throughout the race, but the next one is really one of the most intense races that I've had for a while. And I know I say that a lot because I do get a lot of them, but you'll see. I'm doing okay, I guess, in the Grand Prix for this car. However, since I'm not going to be upgrading it past 1 star, I am most likely not going to be able to win it, because although I am in Tier 1, this time they changed it so that only the players in the top 5 positions versus 10 in most previous Grand Prix, at least recently, will get the car guaranteed, although I will still have a chance to get it obviously in the key packs that you can get at lower positions. So the big reason that this race ended up being as intense as it was because at the beginning, Mystery King hit one of the cars over to the left side, and then I hit that car, slowing me down, which put me a little bit behind him. But all throughout the race, I just did little things better, I guess, and so I was able to ever so slowly creep up on him. And finally, at this point, I go a little bit higher on the ramp, being able to go up above where he goes down below, and then I'm able to pass him. I was kind of afraid that he was going to knock me down as I went by right there, but thankfully he didn't, and so now I just had to maintain my nitro and not make any dumb mistakes or whatever, not go on the sidewalk too much, because even that could ruin my chances here, and just make it around the final turn without an issue. Now, he actually started to catch up slightly around the final turn. I think he did it a little bit better than me. Then he shockwaved early. Thankfully, he hit my car from behind right after I turned Shockwave on, meaning that he didn't knock me down, which he would have if I hadn't had Shockwave, and it gave me a boost in speed actually so that I was able to win. That was a pretty crazy finish, but in this other race on Cairo, The beginning is more of what's interesting. So here we've got 3 people in the race. I knew this was going to be a pretty close one because this other guy, whose name was Johan, I think it was playing extremely well throughout this section. I again got bumped from behind when we both had Shockwave, which pushed me ahead a little bit. It's always nice when that happens, although not very nice when you're the one behind because usually it slows you down. That also happened to me sometimes in this. But unfortunately, I ran out of nitro slightly before this ramp, which I had to do, otherwise I would get really slowed down on the sidewalk. And then he lands just inches behind me on that ramp, and then again, once we touched the ground, I very narrowly avoided getting knocked down both of those times, but thankfully I was able to make it onto the left shorter route, and he took the right longer route, which is something that you risk doing when you go up that second ramp and you don't go high enough, because the problem is, if you don't go high enough, you're forced to land more to the right, and in a lot of cars, at least, you don't actually have the space to make it back over to the left to go up that ramp. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So pretty much, if you do go up that second ramp, if you choose to take that route, definitely try to go pretty high so that you can actually go to the left when you land. And then he wasn't able to catch up again, and I ended up taking the victory in this race too. So recently, Gameloft held a dev chat about multiplayer in particular. I talked about this some in my stream, but I'd like to reiterate some of the points here because they are some of the things that the community has been asking for. First of all, Gameloft will be bringing back the League rewards. This has been something that people have been clamoring for all the past update because, well, without the League rewards, there's really no point to actually being in a higher league, especially when less people are in those higher leagues, and so it's just an ever-spiraling cycle of people just wanting to stay in Platinum or Gold or wherever they can be lower to get more milestone rewards. Because the thing is, Gameloft had infused the League rewards into the milestone rewards, and well, if there's nobody to play with, you're not going up in milestone rewards. So yeah, a lot of people were just kind of going back down below. And speaking of milestones, Gameloft said that they would be reducing the amount of series points you'd have to get to obtain the higher milestones, because right now 70,000 is kind of a lot. So that's really nice, and they will be removing the entrance fee for the 1 versus 1 multiplayer, which is something that really turned a lot of people away from playing it much at all. Like, it came once for a week and then went away for about a month, then came once for a week again. I think I played it once each of those times, and I pretty much got back in rewards what I spent to open it in the first place, and so it was kind of a net zero for me. But they will be keeping the rewards the same, so you won't have to worry about those going down. You'll be able to enter, I assume, at the lowest point without spending tokens. It's totally fine if they want to keep a token fee to enter at higher stages. I mean, that only really makes sense. But the point is, you'll be able to play it pretty much as you want now without having to spend to get into it, which is really nice. Now, they did also go over a lot of other things, but I think those are the main ones that people were really looking forward to and hoping would happen, especially after that petition that garnered over 2,000 signatures. It has been heard, and they are going to be doing something about it. Also, they did say that the Bugatti Divo would be coming back later for free-to-play players, and that they were doing it first with the Apollo IE necessary to get into it, as sort of like a bonus for Legend Pass players, which kind of leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, but I guess the point is with that is that, yes, they will be bringing it back, so later in the future, hopefully we will be able to get the Divo without having the Legend Pass or necessarily having to spend any money on it at all, actually. But you know what is kind of ironic with it? You have to have the Bugatti Chiron at a very high star count to be able to unlock the Divo. Now, the thing is, well, the Chiron is already a better car than the Divo. The Chiron's faster, it's got a much better drift radius, so what's ironic to me is that if you have the Chiron at a high enough star to be able to unlock the Divo, you probably don't need the Divo in the first place, except for the possibility of it replacing the Chiron in the S-Class Elite events. Now, that is something to keep in mind. So for my general review about this new Huracan, likely it will be the new D-Class King on whatever tracks the FURAI is now, so if you have some tokens, it's probably a pretty good one to go for. It's not the greatest thing to drive, but all of its stats are pretty decent for its class. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!